like we're gonna have the bells ring at 7:55, at 8, and at 11. And then at 11:55, at 12, and 3. So there's no bells ringing during the middle of class. So you're just gonna have to keep an eye on the time. That's all. Because if I tried to make bells ring at every single one of these periods, there would be bells going all day long and it would be annoying.
Good morning. It is about 8:12. I just finished a few moments ago with a meeting that I had at 7:30 with the other RSP teachers, the other RSP clusters, meaning teachers that have RSP students, as well as the actual RSP teachers themselves, to just go over our schedules when kids return, because we need to kind of coordinate our schedules with the RSP teacher schedule to see how to make it so that they can support us in class. So we got to see what our day-to-day schedule will look like in the hybrid setting. It's not bad. There are some things that are kind of nice about it. For example, on Mondays, the day is pretty much asynchronous for students. We have a very brief check-in period with each class. And then aside from those, they're working independently, which means it's a prep day for us. And those Mondays are protected thanks to some contract negotiations, meaning like staff meetings can be held and stuff like that. And if we want to, we can choose to work from home on those Mondays. So I report back to school the week of March 29th. I'm still teaching virtually that week, but the 1st and the 2nd are prep days for me because the kids will be working independently and I'm going to be getting ready for their return. I will be taking the 31st off because it's my birthday, it's my mom's birthday, and we always take the day off, so I'm gonna stick to that because I know that that's something we both look forward to each year. And then aside from the day-to-day, the schedule looks pretty straightforward. There's nothing in it that I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just gonna be an adjustment. We have a longer lunch because we have to factor in time to clean our rooms. We can choose to switch, like I'm right next door to my partner teacher, and we can choose to switch her and I so that kids are never moving, or we can have the kids switch, which is what we're going to choose to do. But if we choose to do that, we have to clean the rooms in between, and so they gave us a longer lunch period to allot for the cleaning of the rooms if you choose to do that. So that's what the meeting was about. When I have a minute to really kind of look at the details of my schedule, maybe I'll share more specifics if you're curious about that. But again, nothing was glaring at me that made me nervous. So didn't get to do my Peloton this morning because of the meeting starting at 7:30. So I might do it after class or after I'm done teaching today. So that's gonna happen. I do feel better. My stomach is not hurting like it was yesterday, so that's good news. And that's it for right now. I just kind of want to let you know how that meeting went and kind of give you an update on what the schedule is going to be looking like. So I will be sure to check in a little bit later, and I will share the history lesson that we're on because I wanted to share it yesterday, but I didn't have the energy, so. Okay, you guys have about 1 minute of class time left. I'm not gonna give you any class time when we come back to work on the quiz. So if you're not done, then you need to schedule some time for yourself to finish the quiz. It is due by midnight because when we come back, we're moving on to something else, okay? So if you have any questions, you can stick around. I will try and answer them for you, but I have coffee literally on my devices. So I will try my best to answer them for you right now, but if not, I will see you guys at 11:05. Okay.
Miss Robinson, your mic did not survive that.
My what?
Your microphone. You're all like muffly.
Are you telling me the truth? Can you hear me?
Barely. Barely hear you.
Hold on.
It's kind of like a very like faint talk. Like, can you hear me? That's all I hear.
Can you hear me now?
No, you're on mute now. Well, no.
What about now?
Yeah, but barely.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go have a silent panic attack during my breaks and see if I can get that fixed.
Maybe no class next period.
Oh, stop. Just
What'd you say? I can't hear you.
Just-
Your mic's all bad. Was that a yes?
say a prayer.
Oh, there we go.
How about now? You can hear me now?
It's still muddy, like muffly. But it's getting better.
I don't even know where the mic is on this thing. What about now?
That's way better.
Okay, that must have meant there was a drop of coffee on whatever the microphone is.
There you go. That's way better.
Is it sounding normal?
Yep.
I'm vlogging all of this.
Are you?
I am. So that people can see this is this is what happens sometimes. You spill your coffee and that's life.
All I hear is a loud bang and you go,
Because
and you didn't know that it didn't look like you knew what to do.
well, because this coffee spilled on my keyboard, my iPad. It was a moment.
Good thing.
Well, what a class session that was. So it's just before 11. My switch class comes back in about 5 minutes. We finished the video from Khan Academy on Manifest Destiny. It gives the causes and effects of Manifest Destiny / westward expansion. And I always make sure to remind or inform students of the fact that I'm using the terms Manifest Destiny and westward expansion interchangeably. I need to do a better job of being specific and saying westward expansion, but the two are like so tied together that I forget. So we finished watching that video. I encouraged them to take notes because I made a quick Google form quiz, and I'm not sure if I showed any of this to you, so I'm going to show it to you right now. And if I did show it to you and you saw it already, then my apologies for the redundancy. But the quiz is short and mostly based on the video, so it should have been a very easy quiz for them. So they put their name, which class they're in. They were to describe Manifest Destiny in their own words, like what was the concept really saying, give 3 causes for westward expansion, and then 3 effects. And that was all based on the video. So that's what they did in that class there. And while they were taking that quiz, I spilled my second cup of coffee, which I probably shouldn't have, and that was God's way of telling me that. I spilled my second cup of coffee all on my keyboard, my iPad, my phone. Some of it got on the computer, some of it got on my books over here in the middle of class, and I had to, and they saw me and heard me go, and I had to clean that while they were taking the quiz. So that poor student teacher probably was thinking, this teacher is a mess, spilling coffee, because prior to that, there was like a tech issue where I thought I had something linked and I didn't. So at this point, she's coming back for the second session. She might be thinking she doesn't really have it together. I don't even know why they wanted me to look at her or observe her. But I spilled it. I had to start cleaning up while they were taking the quiz. I messaged them in the chat. So time will tell when the second session starts. Hopefully it's all cleared up. But I just spent most of my prep time continuing to clean up that coffee mess that I had created for myself. So that's what happened there. As far as what we're getting ready to do, this is what I wanted to share. I think I mentioned that I found a speech by Andrew Jackson on the Indian problem. And so we're going to be reading through that. And we started this with my homeroom class yesterday. And the way that the article is set up for them on their end is that all the text is covered until we get to answering the 4 questions that are embedded. So there's 4 questions embedded with this that are multiple choice, and we are answering them together as a class. If you haven't used Common Lit before, it's a great resource. And anything that has these numbers by it, these are words that are being defined for them. So as I was reading this yesterday, making sure that they understood that this was a speech, like these were his actual words, like these are the words of the president. As I was reading it, I was looking at some of my students' faces as they were understanding like what he was saying needed to be done about the Indian problem. So we're going to do that with my switch class today. And like this, even for me, I think I said in the last vlog, like it's just shocking how brazen he is about it. And then prior to that, I showed them a quick biography video on Andrew Jackson. It's about 4 minutes in length. And I will say that watching that video and learning a little bit about him as a president, I feel like there were some parallels to our previous president in terms of his just general personality, approach, demeanor, and all of that. So I'm gonna get everything set up, but that's just what happened. That's how my day is moving along so far. So what are you gonna do? School's over. It's 3 o'clock. I'm eating lunch. I just discovered there's this pasta salad at Trader Joe's that's in the cold section because it's a cold pasta salad. I think it's like a lemon basil. And I, once again, wanted something warm for lunch. So I thought, I wonder if I just like throw this in the microwave for a quick minute. Would that work? And it does. So I put it in a bowl. I just put it in the microwave for about 30 seconds and put some mozzarella cheese on it. It does come with a little bit of cheese. And put it in the microwave. And it satisfies my need for something warm. And it's tasty. So if you've ever gotten it from Trader Joe's, it's good cold, obviously, because that's how it's meant to be eaten. But it's also good warm. I am going to focus for the next chunk of time on making sure I'm ready for tomorrow. We have yet another meeting tomorrow morning. It's an optional meeting, but it's a meeting to kind of explain and clarify some things for when we return in the hybrid setting with our grade books. Like, we've gotten emails about how you have to adjust your grade book and what you need to do here and what you need to do there. And there's a little bit of confusion. So the principal is hosting a meeting with the secretary to make sure everybody's on the same page. I haven't read any of those emails yet because the sight of them overwhelms me. But I will read them before the meeting tomorrow, which means that I needed to cancel my Hawk Academy class, which is from 9 to 9:15 on Tuesdays and Thursdays, because the meeting runs right at that time, 9 to 9:30ish. So I just sent that out. And so what my focus is for the rest of the afternoon, I am going to finish lesson planning for the week that we come back. I'm pretty much done with language arts. I haven't done anything with history because it really depends on where we leave off this week, which I have a better sense of now that today's over. And make sure I'm ready for tomorrow, is what I was initially saying, and get a few things graded, because I want to leave Zoom on Friday and not have a thought about work. And I'm gonna do that for a couple hours, just kind of work on that, because I don't have to cook tonight. I have leftovers from what I cooked yesterday. And I wanna make sure, I wanna see if I can end early enough so that maybe I can do a Peloton class in the early evening, which I don't normally do, but I didn't get to take one today. So I thought, I mean, if you focus, you could probably take one before the day is up. So I'm gonna try that. But we had a good conversation after my switch class with the student teacher. She came for both sessions. And then at the end of the second session, I asked her if she had any questions for me. And I just kind of asked her like where she was on her journey. Was she trying to teach middle school or elementary school? And so she's still kind of undecided, but it sounded like she was leaning more towards elementary school. But after seeing some middle school classes, now is maybe considering teaching middle school. So I just gave her my perspective, told her that I taught both, that I really do obviously enjoy middle school, gave her my philosophy on like what makes your experience with middle schoolers positive. And then I have the kids that kind of stick around after class that were there, and I asked them if there was anything that they would want teachers to know about middle schoolers, and they were pretty honest. And so they gave her their kind of perspective on things. So I think she'll be coming back to observe when we're in person, because she was asking for that schedule. So I need to send that to her. And then the lesson with reading the speech by Andrew Jackson to Congress went well. We finished that just in the nick of time. And like the kids were really good about like hearing each piece a couple times and then being able to articulate like what is being said at that particular part of the speech. But they were kind of surprised, just as I was reading the words of the speech for the first time. So I feel good about that. My homeroom class needs to finish the last question, and then we'll all be, or both classes will be caught up with each other. So it's been quite a day. Coffee has been spilled, didn't get a workout in. Had a student teacher, had a meeting, got the schedule for hybrid. So I'm going to focus for the next couple hours probably, and then when I check in with you, I'm either just going to show you what I got in the mail, or I'm going to show you what I got in the mail and I'm going to be prepared to take a Peloton class because I'm being a good girl, but we'll see how I do. Still in my office. It's 6:27. I am not going to do a ride on the Peloton because I still have food in my stomach and I don't like working out with food in my stomach. I never work out with food in my stomach. I'm always working out on an empty stomach. I'm sure a lot of people think that's a bad idea, but it works for me. And I just don't like, I don't feel like I should be jostling around on a spin bike right now. But I have been working. I'm all ready for tomorrow. I'm pretty much lesson planned for the week that we come back. Again, the last 2 days of that week, that Thursday and Friday, are independent practice days. And the Wednesday, I will be out celebrating my birthday. So I got everything figured out for both language arts and history. And now I'm just stopping there because after that, the kids are back in session and I kind of need to wrap my brain around what I want them to do once we come back in the hybrid setting. How do I want to handle that? How are we going to break the ice? What's it going to be like? There's so many questions about what that day is going to be like because I was just talking to my friend, the one who had the sour cream, who is also my neighbor, and she was saying like, she thinks that when kids come back, they're just going to be like so awkward and shy, which is very possible because we've not seen each other in person. So we shall see about that. And I'm not even going to open my packages. I want to, but I also don't want to until I feel like I've accomplished a certain amount of task. So the lesson planning is done, but there's still like grading that I want to do that I don't want hanging over my head when I come back from break. So I'm going to work on that some more, take advantage of this evening since I don't have to cook and it's still relatively early. And that'll allow me some time tomorrow to kind of maybe wrap up everything and just be totally done so that when Friday comes and the day is done, latawnya is done for the week. Also because I have my second vaccination appointment this Friday at 2:30. So I'm really just here to close the vlog. Nothing extraordinary happened after that. Just lesson planned, chatted with my neighbor. Her district is suspending state testing until further notice. So that reminds me, I wanted to text my friend who is the union president and ask her if we've heard anything like that. So the other thing that I want to mention from this morning's meeting on the schedule, that was specifically a meeting, like I said, with the gen ed teachers, those of us that have students on IEPs or an RSP in our classroom, the actual RSP teacher themselves, and admin. And so one of the questions I was asking was what is going to be put in place for those of us that have IEP meetings coming, like, you know, several IEP meetings that are coming that could take a while. In our district, after you surpass a certain amount of time after your contracted time, you can start time carding it, but quite a bit of time has to elapse before they allow you to time card. And so we were really being told you can either pick to have your meetings on Mondays, which is supposed to be my prep day, or after school, which would be after 3 o'clock every day. Obviously, most people are going to want to pick Mondays, but by doing so, you're losing a lot of prep. And I just don't think that's right. Like, I understand that that's the class that I teach, but you don't always volunteer to teach the RSP class. Sometimes there are teachers that are teaching it and they didn't necessarily volunteer to do it. And there are so many times where I feel like teachers that are teaching those classes that require more meetings and require more work need to somehow be offset with that, whether that's you can time card or you get more prep time or there's a reduction in responsibility elsewhere. So I brought that up. And as I was bringing it up, the other teachers were nodding their head like, yes, we would also like to know that as well. And just from, you know, my experience to yours, like, it always is interesting to me that I'm bringing something up, but other teachers are nodding their head, yes, like, I want to know the same thing. And it just always saddens me that they don't mention that. I think so many times as teachers, we don't get the things that we need or get the things that we deserve because everybody's waiting on someone else to say something, or everyone's like nervous, like, well, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to get in trouble. I didn't have that fear today because I wasn't asking anything that was out of the question. And he even said that the question that I had was a good question and worth looking into. But just imagine had I not looked into that. we would have all just been grinning and bearing it. So the last we heard is that they were going to look into possibly seeing if they can afford to get a sub for a day and just schedule all the IEPs on that one day with sub coverage. Because we all said that I would much rather just miss a day and just get all the meetings done as opposed to just having a meeting here, a meeting here, a meeting there. Because my Mondays already have leadership meetings, PLC meetings, and so that time is quickly being eaten up. So that's just my little encouragement. If you're a teacher out there and you find yourself wanting to say something or wanting to advocate for yourself in some kind of way, and for whatever reason you don't, you got to do it. Because if you don't do it, who's going to do it? So with that little tidbit of advice, I'm going to go ahead and close out this vlog. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you are not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. If you're not following me on Instagram, head over there. I also want to make sure that I mention to anyone that is a follower or subscriber on my channel, if you are a part of the Asian American community, I want to say that my thoughts are with you, my prayers are with you, my support is with you. We have to do something. Well, we have to do something, and as teachers, we need to recognize that educating students properly and fully and correctly is one of the things that we can do to hopefully minimize the ignorance that leads people to not create but commit violent acts in the world, like we saw yesterday in Atlanta. It's got to stop. And I firmly believe that what happened yesterday is a direct result of some of the rhetoric and some of the messaging that was put out in public spaces and in the media by our previous president. And that's just how I feel about that, and all of the things that he said and shared and spouted out was just based on just pure ignorance, among other things, but definitely ignorance. So I would just want to say that I'm thinking of you. I hope that you are doing well for sure. I know that I always see at the end of the vlogs, I hope that you are well, and I want to make sure that you know that I really mean that today, especially today. And if you're not doing well, please be well. So yeah. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow.